What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes, and this is going to be my comprehensive analysis and review of the shared bounty banner featuring Halloween duo Sothis, Rhea, Kurthnaga and Male Grima. I'll also go over a lot of the builds that you can run for different game modes like PvE, Arena and Aether raids. And if you do enjoy these banner reviews, then I would really appreciate if you could spook the like and subscribe button. And with that said, let us begin. Halloween Male Grima, in my opinion, is equally the star of this banner along with duo Sothis, because he's a 190 BST colorless armor dragon who can function really well as a near save armor unit. He has got Moonstrike Breath, which gives him -1 special cooldown, and this makes Bonfire into a 2-turn special, which is really amazing with Steady Breath Sacred Seal. He also gets -6 attack debuff on the foe during the combat, and gets +6 attack during the combat if he's within 2 spaces of an ally, and if he deals damage to foe using a special, he restores 30% of his maximum HP. So we have seen these kinds of healing effects before, and it's incredibly easy to trigger his weapon's condition because whenever you're going to be triggering the Savior skill, you're automatically going to be within 2 spaces of an ally. He also hits the resistance of the opponents, unlike many of the near save armor units who mainly target the defense. And on average in this game, units are going to be having less resistance than defense, so that is pretty good for him in terms of one-shot potential. His stat spread is also really amazing, having that high base 43 attack stat, which makes it really fantastic with Steady Breath and Bonfire, and his bulk is also not that bad. He has got good mixed bulk with 43 base defense and 37 base resistance with good HP. He's gonna get doubled a lot, but that is not a problem because he gets the guard effect from his slotted skill, and he also gets the healing from the weapon, so he can still stay pretty healthy. He also has a new save skill in attack resistance near save, and this is not as good as attack defense near trace because the only melee magical threats you're gonna be facing are gonna be dragons. And they're not going to be hitting that hard compared to a lot of the physical threats which are a lot more common. But this weapon can still help you in Arena Assault where you're going to be facing a lot of dragons, and can help if you're running Dragon Wall. Of course, Male Grima doesn't really want to run that and likes to have Slick Fighter. So overall, Male Grima is a really fantastic near save armor unit because of being colorless, having neutral matchups across the board, and that gives him really nice defensive potential. Not to mention his high HP, the self-healing and the -1 special cooldown helps him a lot in the combat, as you'll see in a moment. So if you want to build him up, I feel like you shouldn't be running Noontime. I think it's really redundant with the healing that he already gets from his weapon, and having healing specials along with healing and weapon like this is just asking to get shut down by Fatal Smoke and not even doing any kind of damage. So that's why I would highly recommend you to run Bonfire instead with Steady Breath Sacred Seal. This is pretty much the perfect build on him, and he already comes with really good base kit. You can also use him in Aether Raid's offense, of course, as a near save tank. And here are the calcs of how he can deal with a lot of the meta threats. So here, as you can see, he easily deals with Fallen Edelgard, Saros, Note, Legendary Seeker, even though he does take quite a bit of damage, and because of the fact that he's got Fatal Smoke, Male Grima is not able to recover the HP from his weapon, and that's why, again, having Bonfire is so important, because if you have Noontime here, or Soul, then yeah, you're gonna be in for trouble because this Seeker is not gonna be dying. Unfortunately, the disadvantage of being a colorless armored dragon is the fact that he is susceptible to armor effective weapons compared to someone like Brave Hector or even Valentine Gustav, who gets 80% damage reduction on the first hit. So someone like a neutral IV Brave Erica with no Dragon Flowers with Quick and Pulse Moonbow can absolutely shred Male Grima. So you definitely have to watch out for units like those, and also Brave Alm and Brave Eliwood. We definitely have a couple of these units in the recent times who can definitely threaten Male Grima, but against a lot of these standard common threats, he is not going to be having any kind of problem, and usually you're going to be facing Note and Legendary Seeker as the 2 most common melee threats, and he can easily deal with them in succession. Fallen Male Grima can be used in any season honestly, but in the light season it's a bit better to use the save skills because of Note and the cavalry threats that are going to be present, so you can definitely run this kind of build. And in Arena, if you do decide to plus and merge him, then he's going to be scoring really high as a 190 BST. He's actually the first Gen 6 190 BST armor unit, so he's really good in terms of long-term scoring. And he can pretty much deal with a lot of the meta threats, but you again have to watch out for the Dragon Slayers, which are going to be present in Arena. So in Arena, I think that you can run Close Defense 4 to neutralize the buffs of the enemies, because everyone and their mom runs some kind of rally skill, and then Crafty Fighter can give you the guard effect. Guard effect is extremely important on Male Grima, so make sure to have that. Debuffs I feel like are not that common in Arena compared to something like Aether raids, so you can let go of Slick Fighter for Crafty Fighter. Outside of Bonfire, Blue Flame is also a really good special because it will activate with the Savior skill and has really good synergy with his weapon as it is, and can give him good damage output and one-shot potential. I wouldn't really recommend changing his base kit too drastically because I feel like it does the job well enough. If you're thinking of running something like Dragon Wall or Dragon Sire, I wouldn't really recommend it personally because if you want to get the damage reduction, simply use Flame, and Slick Fighter is much better in slot B where it can provide him with the debuff neutralization, and you don't really need to change it unless you're going to be using him for something like Arena. Duo Sothis is a blue flying dragon, and she's actually a trainee unit in Gen 6 with having 183 BST, but she can score really high because of the dual skill built into her duo effect. So she's got Eerie Scripture as her preferred weapon, and this gives her -1 special cooldown, making Sirius into a one-turn special that she can retaliate back with, and of course she neutralizes any kind of effects that are effective on dragons, so she doesn't really care about any dragon effective weapon. Eerie Scripture also has distant counter built into it, and this weapon is always active in the enemy phase, and in the player phase it requires the opponent to have more than 75% HP. If the condition is met, then she can get +5 to all of her stats, and of course she has got the standard adaptive damage. Her stat spread is that of a stat ball, having kind of balanced stat spread overall, with having decent attack stat to hit hard and having good enough speed, having good enough bulk. So she can function in both phases, and she's definitely versatile with her usage and her build. Sirius is also a really good special with her weapon because she can always retaliate back with it due to the -1 special cooldown and recover HP from it. It does scale based on the speed stat of her, so that is a pretty fantastic special, and she's got Dragon's Wrath as a new skill. So this is basically the combination of Domain of Ice and Domain of Flame, and this gives her damage reduction of 20% during the combat, and if she's got more attack than foe's resistance, then she can get the true damage on her first hit depending on the difference between them multiplied by 20%. So this is pretty similar to Domain of Flame, and this kind of skill is pretty niche overall because a lot of dragons are quite slow, so they prefer having Dragon's Ire or even Dragon Wall. And I feel like this is only really good on someone like Sothis, who can have null follow-up from her duo skill and is fast in general, because if you're a slow dragon, then you're much better off running Dragon Wall to get the damage reduction on both of the hits. So Dragon's Wrath is definitely a skill that we're going to be seeing far and few between. Duo Sothis is definitely one of the best users of it, if not the best one, because as it is, a flying dragon doesn't have too many slot B options, and this one is definitely a pretty strong one. So this adds to her bulk, and the fact that she can retaliate back with Sirius and also get the true damage means that she can have a pretty nice one-shot potential despite not having a very high attack stat. She does have the attack super boon, which I feel like she definitely prefers over having the plus speed IV, because I feel like one-shotting is a lot more reliable than just depending on her speed and investing into that, so I certainly prefer the attack super boon on Duo Sothis. Duo Sothis has really busted duo skill, which gives herself and the allies within 2 spaces null follow-up and time pulse. Keep in mind that this null follow-up is speed based, kinda like Legendary Violet's null follow-up in his weapon, so only fast allies are going to be able to use this, and this is really amazing for many of the flying units and cavalry units who are really fast and they can make productive use of this kind of skill. Time Pulse will pre-charge Sirius, so that is extremely good for her, and that can allow her to basically trigger it twice in a single combat if the foe counter attacks. And she can also get the dual effect from this weapon, which allows her to score 195 BST in Colosseum game modes, and that makes Duo Sothis the highest scoring unit in the entire game as of making this video. I'm pretty sure we're going to be getting even higher scoring units, but right now Duo Sothis takes the crown. You can also use this duo skill multiple times, making it insanely powerful in Arena Assault, Arena, and in in-game content. In Aether raids, of course, you're not going to be having much of a chance of using this skill because any kind of half-decent Aether raids defense team is going to be having duo hindrance structure, which is just going to be disabling your duo skill. Overall, Duo Sothis is a solid mixed phase unit because of her stat spread, and her weapon does have distant counter, so it frees up her slot A skill, and Sirius can give her good damage output and also give her the healing, and she can make use of the null follow-up and time pulse built into her duo skill, which conventionally flying units do not have access to, so she's overall going to be a very versatile unit who can function in a lot of game modes. Having said that, I still do not think that Sothis is some kind of oppressively strong meta-influential duo unit. She is good, but she's definitely not that level of oppressive compared to a lot of the previous duo and harmonic units that we have got in the recent times. I think she's mostly going to be seen in arena where she can score really high with that 195 BST. So as for her builds, you don't really have to do anything too unique for her. You can just give her reposition and a solo sacred seal and she'll be good to go. So again, try to invest into her attack stat with a sacred seal so that she can get more true damage from her weapon, and that can allow you to have better one-shot potentials in the enemy phase. You can also use her in Aether's offense as a tank. She can function in any season honestly because of her distant counter and her stat spread, and blue is generally a pretty good color for tanking, so she can function in that role, but keep in mind that you're not going to be able to use her duo skill against any kind of good team with duo hindrance, so you're not going to be able to have null follow-up, which means that many of the auto follow-up units like Bramimond and Seros are going to be able to auto double her. But for solving that issue, you pretty much need to invest into her attack stat, and that's why I prefer the plus attack IV on her. So pretty much invest into her attack with her slotted skill with her sacred seal, and that can allow her to have better one-shot potentials. So for example, in the Astra season, after she's got the Divine Fang buff, she can easily one-shot Seros through her damage reduction with the retaliation of Sirius, and also heal up some good amount of HP. So that's pretty much the kind of tank that Sothis is going to be, and because of her flying mobility, you can often tank from the unconventional spots like from mountains and water tiles, which many of the armor save tanks are not able to do. But again, lack of null follow-up because of not being able to use the duo skill can come to bite you back in many situations. So pretty much invest into her attack and hope that she can one-shot a lot of units and function as a tank. If you want to invest even more into her, then you can also use her with Muspel, and this again just helps her with her playstyle in Aether raids, which is one-shotting with Sirius. So Muspel will have the Domain of Flame, which will stack up with Dragon's Wrath, and that will give her more true damage, which means more one-shots. So that is just fantastic. And in the light season, I feel like she can definitely use attack speed Unity because Note is going to be there with attack speed Menace, so that can just boost up her one-shot potential even more after she eats up the Menace skill from Note. Even though Duo Sothis is not weak to dragon affected weapons, she's still weak to bows, but I feel like with the damage reduction that she gets from her Dragon's Wrath and the healing that she can get, she can oftentimes take like some singular hits from the archers and still be fine. Of course, something like Fire Sweep Bow is going to be a lot more annoying for her after they get danced, so watch out for the bow units and again mainly use her as a counter pick. And Muspel is a fantastic support unit if you decide to use her in this game mode. And finally, if you decide to plus and merge her, then she's going to be an insanely good investment for arena because of her scoring, and she's also really amazing in combat because of her duo skill. She can get the null follow up and also give that to the allies and also charge up their special. And because of this, she can just function with her one-shot playstyle. You can definitely run attack speed catch over the solo skill in arena, and if you have something like a Ruse skill or a chill skill, then it's pretty easy to activate this kind of cat skill. Shield Session is a really good sacred seal in arena because units are going to be rallying each other up, so they basically use their action, and this way you can get a lot more bulk and essentially get +9 to all of her stats with the cat skill and Shield Session being active. So overall, she's going to be a big ball of stats. Halloween Rhea is a green infantry dragon, and her playstyle is very similar to that of Seros for obvious reasons, but she doesn't have the inherent value of Seros by being a 7-slot mythic unit for Aether raid's defense, but Rhea is blessable, and still overall she's a solid unit because of her weapon Witch Breath. So this gives her +3 attack, and it also gives her an auto follow-up and follow-up negation depending on the HP threshold of herself. So Rhea needs to be above half health to get that follow-up negation, and the opponent needs to be above half health if she wants to get the auto follow-up. And then it has got the mini spendthrift effect by giving attack boost to herself in the combat and debuffing opponent's attack. So overall, this is a very solid weapon, just freeing up her slot B and Sacred Seal. She doesn't really have to run Crooked Post or anything like that, and she can completely commit with Dragon Wall in her slot B. She can also function in both phases by getting that follow-up and also getting the follow-up negation. But the problem is that Rhea gets super hard countered by null follow-up, and her speed is really low, so even if she's got the follow-up negation, units who are faster than her and who have the auto follow-up are still going to be able to double her. Rhea does have really good attack stat and very high mixed bulk, so she can definitely utilize Dragon Wall and be really bulky with the effects of her weapon. For her builds, I feel like you can definitely go with Attack Smoke on a budget. That is extremely useful for increasing her bulk. And Steady Breath Glacies is a really strong combo because she doesn't really need to run Quick Riposte. So Glacies can give you a lot of damage output and even take out many of the red units. You can also run Distant Counter on her because she's got amazing mixed bulk and very high resistance, and you can opt with Resistance Super Boon because it can increase the effectiveness of Dragon Wall skill and also give her the extra bulk. And Resistance Smoke does have good synergy with Dragon Wall for lowering the enemy's resistance, and again you can go with the standard, Glacies, and Steady Breath. You can also use her in Aether offense, but with a far save unit. So basically she's going to be tanking the melee threats, and the far save unit is going to be dealing with the ranged threats. And you can run Attack Res Unity, which is going to be helping you quite a lot because Node is going to be having Attack Speed Menace, so that only increases your overall attack power. And Glacies is extremely strong and can even take out red units. And here are the calculations of how she performs in the light season as a melee tank, along with a far save ally. So of course she can easily take on stuff like Eldigan, Note, and Fallen Edelgard, but keep in mind that the problem for her is going to be Legendary Sigurd. So like I said in my analysis, she might have the follow-up negation, but units who are faster than her and have got the auto follow-up can still double her, and Legendary Sigurd is one of those units. So to make sure that the Legendary Sigurd does not double you and pretty much kill you with another special, you could run a bit of extra speed. The speed buff is extremely important, and you can also buff her up with something like Flower of Joy. So you need to make sure that you've got enough speed to prevent double from Legendary Sigurd, otherwise Rhea is gonna be dying, or at least she's gonna be surviving at like 1 or 2 HP, and then at that point she can just get taken out by even someone like Note. So definitely keep that in mind if you're going to be using her in Aether offense. She's going to be working fine in the bonus season, but outside of the bonus season, make sure to stack up on her speed because that actually helps her quite a lot, and that also helps her pretty much one round KO Fallen Edelgard, because again her speed is so slow that she cannot get the auto follow up against Fallen Edelgard because she will not have enough speed. So speed stacking, as funny as that sound, is what Rhea needs in Aether offense to function well as a melee tank. And here are the matchups. She actually does not do too bad of a job, can work in the Astra season as well, but of course Aether is going to be hitting for a lot of damage on her. She can handle Ceros extremely easily, and also the Bright Catrias, which are going to be quite common in Vault of Heaven. And finally, if you decide to plus in Merger, then she can of course be used in Arena, and you can have the plus Resistance Ivy for that nice 69 attack. And Attack Res Menace has got fantastic synergy with Dragon Wall. In general, she does appreciate the Menace skills, and here you can basically go with Steady Breath and Aether because she can easily charge that up. She's gonna be a really strong unit to take care of a lot of threats like Legendary Crom, Legendary Leaf, and stuff like that because her bulk is really fantastic, and she also hits their resistance, and a lot of times these kinds of threats are gonna be having lower resistance than defense, so she's gonna be a very strong option in Arena with Distant Counter. The final unit on this banner is going to be Kurthnaga, and he's a 4-star focus. He's a red infantry dragon with 182 BST, and he has got an Inheritable Breath and Lantern Breath. So this weapon is basically always active in the enemy phase, but in the player phase the opponent needs to be above 75% HP. So if those conditions are met, then he can get +5 attack during the combat, inflict -5 attack on the foe, and also get the guard effect. So this is a fantastic breath. In my opinion, this is pretty much the best Inheritable Breath in the entire game. Pale Breath is also really good, but I feel like having the guard effect is just really strong, and also this gives you the attack debuff, which effectively increases both your defense and resistance, unlike the Pale Breath, which only increases your defense. And this breath can easily be used on a lot of your Dragon Merge projects. So Halloween Anna is a really popular merge project from the Grail Pool, and she certainly appreciates the guard effect while also having the Dragon Wall, so she can be really bulky for something like an arena use case. Many people did get Halloween Mer as their Pharma unit, so Lantern Breath in my opinion is pretty much her optimal breath until she gets, the weapon refined. So you can basically go with Close Defense 4 and have Select Fighter, and again, just like I said in my Halloween Sophia review, you pretty much need 3 main things as a safe tank: the guard effect, being able to handle the debuffs, and being able to neutralize buffs of the opponent. And this build does all of them and then some, because she can get the special acceleration with Steady Breath and just hit really hard with those Ignis. So this is the optimal build for Halloween Mer for a near safe tank. And then we've got Adele Tiki, who has been forgotten by the game, and you can definitely run this on her if you're a big fan of her, because her weapon refine is not even as good as this inheritable weapon. So yeah, you can run Dragon Sire because she is really slow, and have the standard Aether and Steady Breath. Kurthnaga also comes with Even Pulse Tie, which is going to be available at 5-star, so you will have to upgrade him if you want to use this skill. And this skill is extremely useful in something like Aether defense, where units are going to be having pre-charged specials like Aether, Legendary Lilina, and Legendary Sigurd. So with the combination of safety fence, you can wait a turn and then just basically neutralize their pre-charged special, and that could make it a lot easier to tank them. So if Legendary Sigurd does not have his special charged up, then he's not going to be able to give his allies the extra movement if you have, guard effect on your main tank. So Even Pulse Tie definitely has niche usage, but it can be extremely good with tank strategies, especially if you use safe tanks. And his stat spread is really similar to that of Enna, which we got last year. I would say that Kurthnaga is basically like a Gen 6, slightly better Enna, but it doesn't really justify going for him, and it's much easier to get Enna from the Grail section, and you don't have to spend many orbs and try to battle the gacha for plus and merging someone like Kurthnaga. So he's a bit better, and he's definitely a pretty good red infantry dragon, but he's nothing really new because Enna can pretty much do the same thing. She does get extra dragon flowers, so she can catch up. Both of them are really similar, it's just that Kurthnaga has got better speed, better attack at the cost of having less resistance. If you got a 4-star Kurthnaga, then you can definitely use him in Arena Assault in the Fire season, where Legendary Lilinas are going to be extremely common. So what you could do is basically have Even Pulse Tie neutralize the pre-charge special, and then it makes it a lot easier to tank those plus 10 merge max invested Legendary Lilinas. So this is definitely a productive way of using him even on a super budget build. And then if you want to invest a bit more into him, then you can have Steady Stance 3 and Reposition from Silas, and basically run him with Steady Breath, Ignis, and Quick Riposte in the slot B. And at higher and max investment, you can definitely go with Distant Counter because he does have the bulk for it. Because he's a slow dragon, you can run Dragon's Ire and have Steady Breath Aether combo. The guard effect is going to be extremely useful for any kind of tanks for denying the special charges of the opponents. And Dragon Wall is also an option for Kurthnaga, so you could use this with an arena build, but even outside of arena, this build could be utilized with something like Bonfire. So Dragon Wall is going to be giving you that damage reduction, making him even more bulky, and he definitely has the resistance for it. You can run this build in arena with Blue Flame and have Attack Res Menace. Because he doesn't have a preferred weapon, he basically needs to have a 300 SP Slotsy skill, so a Menace skill goes really well with the Dragon Wall effectiveness. So Attack Res Menace goes really well with the Dragon Wall build because it can create the 12-point stat differential between the resistance of Kurthnaga and the opponent, and also gives him the attack debuff, which makes him even more bulky. Now Kurthnaga does have usable speed stat, and that could definitely be used productively by running Lightning Breath and freeing up his Thought skill from Distant Counter. And a build like this can be useful in arena with null follow-up, where a lot of units have follow-up negation skills and also auto follow-up, so the null follow-up can be a really useful tool there. So you can run double solo skills here basically to boost up his speed and have something like Joint Drive speed. So this is definitely a route you could go with Kurthnaga, but I would only suggest doing this on like super max investment. And Summoner support also helps because any kind of extra speed is going to be really helpful because units now are extremely fast, and Kurthnaga being able to compete with them is going to be really hard, but he can definitely do this. Even though you can get past the follow-up negation with Dragon's Ire, null follow-up is really good because you can also stop the auto doubles of the enemies, and this build basically makes him into a mixed phase unit, so he can definitely function in the player phase because of his high speed. You can also run him in Aether offense similar to how you would use Halloween Rhea, basically with a far safe tank, so you can make him as a melee tank. And red color is not the best color for overall Omni tanking, I would say. So that's why I'm pretty much making him into this kind of melee tank role. Attack Defense Unity or Close Defense 4 is an extremely useful option. And you can have Steady Breath and Ignis to have really high damage output. Lantern Breath is super helpful to avoid the specials from Legendary Sigurd and Note. So that is going to be coming into the play. So if I could describe this banner in a single sentence, then I would pretty much say that all of these are solid units, but they are not meta influential or must-have units. So if you have them as your favorites, then you can definitely try to summon on this banner, but other than that, if you don't really care too much about them as characters, then this is definitely a skippable banner. So I hope you all enjoyed my banner review. If you did, then make sure to share this video with your friends who have pulled on this banner. And if you enjoyed, then make sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously. And if you really enjoyed, then you can always support me directly by using super thanks or by becoming a YouTube member down below. If you want to see more banner reviews, then make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because YouTube sub boxes are about as functional as Rhea's weapon against null follow-up. So that's it, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.